Magapotamians who brought the usual specious arguments out. This is real. You know, when I saw Luke in DC last week, he told me he was going to be doing this, and he seemed very well prepared. You know, one of the great things about going to the White House last week was not only did I get to see Luke and the Dollemores and others, I also met folks like Dean Withers, for example, who I think are just doing such a great job in these confrontational debates. And I said to Dean, and I said to Luke, I don't know if it's that I'm just too old for this crap, but I am too tired to go through the prep that's required to really seriously be prepared for these sorts of situations. They threw everything at Luke. And I'm going to play for you. It's like a media literacy clinic, really. I'm going to play for you some of what I think are the key moments. This was 2.5 hours long, if you can believe that. Anyway, let's not even weigh in on that. But let's dive into it. A couple of different clips here. And one of the things that, well, let me play it first, and then I'll explain what's interesting about this.
It says from Antifa.
Again, tell me. I think you have a great explanation.
I certainly do. I'm wondering, as you've made an argument, if you know what you're talking about.
How does that connect to my argument?
Do you know the difference between various ideologies among the right and the left? You've not been able to define it.
I actually know. I would say I'm not a master in the distinguishments between different ideologies within a side.
Then how can you claim the right is more violent?
Oh, how can you claim the left is more violent?
Because I know many of these
your
different
feelings
factions
and your observations.
From my field reporting expertise and the reading of the research.
Well, then what research?
So if we distinguish, say, anarcho-libertarian, anarcho-communism, anarcho-syndicalism, we can talk about tankies, we can talk about social liberals, we can talk about traditional liberals.
Tim throws out this whole barrage of ideological categories: anarcho-libertarian, anarcho-syndicalism, tankies, social liberals, and so on, basically trying to overwhelm Luke with a pop quiz. It's as if knowing the exact distinctions between these ideologies is the key to understanding political violence. Spoiler, it's not. And here's the thing. This isn't a genuine attempt to engage. It's a tactic. Tim knows full well that most people, even politically informed ones, don't sit around memorizing the fine-grained differences between all these ideologies. So when Luke admits he's not a master at distinguishing them, Tim jumps on that as if it disqualifies everything else Luke is saying. It's a way to sideline the actual debate and make Luke look unprepared. But let's be real. Does any of this have to do with whether the right or left is more violent? No, it's a total distraction. Tim's argument isn't about data or facts. It's about trying to flex his supposed intellectual superiority. He's acting like if you can't write an essay on anarcho-syndicalism versus communism, you're unqualified to talk about violence trends. It's absurd. The funny part is that Luke handles this with grace. He doesn't get flustered or defensive. He just admits he's not an expert on every ideological nuance and moves on. And honestly, that's the best way to deal with this kind of nonsense. Tim's entire strategy hinges on throwing you off balance, and Luke doesn't fall for it.
And I'm asking you to define which groups...
I dug, and I could not find any research, even that came from a right-wing institution, that gave
Which right-wing institution?
I'm saying I couldn't find one.
I agree. You can't find a right-wing institution that tracks...
Oh, there are right-wing institutions that do studies and stuff.
They don't track this.
Sure, so maybe because they're studies. Do you see what's happening though? I think
you haven't done the research, and so you're saying
apparently you haven't even less than me. Sheesh.
I have 20 years of field reporting on the ground,
and every single time you come back to
give me substance, bro.
That's what I'm asking you. I'm saying I don't get caught up, especially like let me give you another example. Crime has been going down. I could go find instances of crimes taking place, right?
The FBI lied about that. The FBI lied about that. That crime is not going down. They actually altered and omitted those statements. It's not, crime didn't go down. It's not even an argument. It actually went up.
You do know the FBI revised the crime data.
2022, not 2023 and 2024. Right. We're seeing a really good trend on that front.
Do you know why? In
2022, it was not a huge revision.
Do you know why homicide is down?
Tell me.
I'm asking you not...
Anyway, so he plays these games where he wants to set the terms. Answer this question, answer that question. And of course, this isn't really how we figure things out and get to reality. And I'll admit, this is a very tough situation to be in for Luke. And he handled it as well as... Also, he's around multiple of these people. And Luke is the newest to this of any of these folks and really holding his own. Let's go to another moment from this discussion where Tim Pool starts to get angry. He doesn't like how Luke is handling this, and Tim starts to get very angry.
Specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad, and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarrio?
Yeah, and his organization.
What plot? Who's they? Give me some
prosecutors.
Give me some fucking data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing.
All right, let's break this down. This is Tim Pool in full meltdown mode. He accuses Luke of blindly trusting the corporate press and the machine state government, while completely dismissing the jury's decision and the prosecution's evidence in Enrique Tarrio's case. The irony here is glaring. Tim demands data from Luke, yet he provides none of his own. Instead, he leans on vague accusations and conspiratorial rhetoric to make his point. And let's talk about the tone. Lines like, "Stop squinting at me," aren't arguments. They're just condescending digs meant to rattle Luke. But here's the thing. Luke doesn't bite. He stays calm and collected, which only makes Tim's frustration look even more ridiculous. This isn't a real debate. It's Tim trying to dominate the conversation through sheer volume and indignation. And honestly, it's falling flat.
Luke's squinting because Tim's losing his mind. He's coming at this with this indignant, how dare you come in here and say things? Why won't you do dictionary and define every term I give you? Why won't you just tell me I'm right, Luke?
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
This is so triggering to Tim.
No, you didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. All you know is the fascist machine state told you he should be in prison, and you're saying yes to them. Tell me why.
No, I understand that laws on the books have been there for a long time, that I agree with, that if it's proven that you had a plan and you wanted to act on it, and then days after, the proof is
say the proof
by prosecutors.
Say it.
Communications.
You know, the problem with everything that is being levied here is you could just as easily turn this around on Tim and say, okay, so it sounds like you're essentially saying you don't respect the way that the laws are written. You don't respect the conclusions of a jury within a trial. You're just saying none of it really matters. And so we could turn that around and say, okay, so listen, Kyle Rittenhouse's acquittal, I don't agree with the way that the self-defense law is written. I don't agree with the conclusions of the jury. I think the system was biased in his favor. This is sort of the conspiracy loophole or black hole I've talked about before, where evidence for and evidence against or absence of evidence, it all points to the same conclusion because you've predetermined it. And this is, of course, another one of those examples where despite the recorded audio tapes of Enrique Tarrio, the Proud Boy leader, despite prosecutors proving their case, despite everything that happened, Tim just doesn't agree with it. And so the thing that if I were to critique Luke here, I would say he should have more quickly recognized it doesn't matter what he says. It almost, in the 2.5 hours, it almost doesn't matter what Luke says. Because what this is really about, it seems to me, is that Tim really didn't like that 20-whatever-year-old Luke Beasley came in and faced down 5 of these people, and all they could do was blow up and yell at him.
I completely agree with David Pakman here. Luke Beasley absolutely crushed it in that 5-on-1 debate. I mean, think about it. You've got 5 people all coming at you, interrupting, throwing curveballs, and trying every trick in the book to make you look bad, and Luke handled it like a total pro. That's not just impressive, it's rare. Most people would have crumbled under that kind of pressure, but Luke, he stayed calm, focused, and didn't let the chaos throw him off. What really stood out to me was how he dealt with the nonsense tactics they kept throwing at him. Tim Pool especially kept trying to derail him, demanding definitions, dismissing evidence, pivoting the conversation to unrelated points. You know, the usual debate bro routine. But Luke didn't bite. He stayed on point, admitted when he didn't have an answer, which, let's be real, is way more honest than pretending to know everything, and redirected the conversation to the actual issue. That kind of poise, it's the reason they started getting so frustrated with him. He didn't just survive, he outclassed them. And Pacman nailed it. This wasn't a debate about finding the truth. It was about dominating the conversation. And Luke managed to hold his own, even with the odds stacked against him. That's a huge win in my book. Anyway, that's my take. What's yours? Did Luke impress you as much as he impressed me? Or do you think there's more to unpack here? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing what you all think. This is Cole Talk, and I'll see you in the next video.